Hi there, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Gwen from the Dr. Gwen International, and I am coming to you live today. It's Monday. You have had probably a wonderful weekend. I had one that was restful, and I hesitated when I said restful because it was sort of forced. It wasn't one that I had voluntarily invited. And that was because I had to take a break. I had to listen to my body as my body was telling me that it's time to take a break. And so I thought today that my conversation with you will be around those goals that you have set for yourself. I know procrastination seems to be a big thing for a lot of people. And a lot of people set goals and don't achieve those goals on a daily basis, if you will. And I saw a picture just the other day of someone who went to the gym. He took a photo of the gym and the equipment, and the comment was simply, "Where is everybody?" 2 weeks ago, I could hardly find a treadmill to work out on. It was jam-packed. But now, this particular week in question, it was empty. So a lot of people abandoned whatever they were on. And so our conversation today is on the cross between your commitment, integrity, and your feelings. And I know as a life coach and a mentor to many, that I have had the wonderful experience of working to cheer people along to achieve the goals and the visions that they set out for their own lives. I have helped them to set up their goals and their strategies to achieve the success that they want to achieve in their life. But the reality is simply this, that every single one of us has inside of us that internal knowing of when we are on track with what we want to do and when we're not. So let's not kid ourselves. So let's start off today by talking about how do you deal with commitment and integrity and your feelings. First, I want to define the word commitment, maybe also integrity, which to me they are quite likely the same. And when you make a commitment, you have said either to yourself or to someone else that you're going to do a certain thing. So you've committed, you've drawn the line in the sand, or you've planted your stake and you say, this is what I'm going to deliver and this is who I'm going to be. That is commitment. So you are deciding, choosing at that point what you want to become or who you want to become in the process. Now, your integrity is your ability or your willingness or your determination or your dedication in following through on that commitment. So if you say, I'm going to be X, Y, or Z, and then you put some steps in place so that you can set those actions towards getting to where you want to go, and you stick with it no matter what, day after day, then you find yourself to be in integrity because you're saying what you are going to do and you're doing what you're going to say. Now, before I go into sharing with you some tips and strategies and ideas of how you're going to best do this, let's talk about the state of affairs. Because what I notice around me, and maybe you have too on a regular basis, is that there are very few people who are in integrity with what they say they're going to do. That gym scenario is an example of that, right? They committed that they're going to do a certain thing, maybe to themselves, maybe to their friends, whomever, and then only a few weeks later they have abandoned it due to whatever the reason. We're not into trying to figure out what the reason is. We're not into trying to point a finger to make anyone look bad. We're just here to offer that empowering reflection, that support that's going to get you to the goals where you want to get to. So you look around and you've made a commitment, and now suddenly you're not feeling as though you want to do it. Now, there are a couple things that I would say for this. When you are early in the commitment, the worst thing you can do is to allow your feelings to rule. That is the worst thing you can do, because then what you're going to do is to set up a pattern. You're setting a precedence for yourself where you're going to break that precedence right out the gate without even having an opportunity to, first of all, execute continuously on it, to build a habit of it. So what I recommend that you do is, that feeling is always going to come, believe me. I talk about my workout experience. You know, that is not my first love, okay? Let's be straight about it. It's not my first love, yet I work out most days, okay? I do. And I do take a break too, continuously, like this morning. I took a break from working out because, see, there is a session or a pattern that you can establish, and I'll talk about that a little later, so that you can know when it is kind of okay to take a break. But you set your commitment and you start off, stick with it. No matter what that feeling is at that moment, stick with it. Because what you are doing is actually setting up a habit for yourself so that you can actually stay on track and stay consistent with the results that you want. Now, as I'm talking to you, I want you to think about just about any goal that you have set. It could be a life goal, could be a health goal, it could be a goal to achieve a certain thing in your life. Whatever it is, think about that goal right now. And think about where you are with that goal. Are you in the process of abandoning it even before you start? See, don't. Work through it. Work through, at least my recommendation is the first 90 days of that process before you finally give in. And even beyond that 90 days, it will be sometimes more less so than before, a need to want to pause. But if you work through that 90 days, you've set yourself on a trajectory that now what's happening is you are getting more of a habitual practice of doing this thing or of achieving this thing. And so when you get up in the days, what's happening is your mind is automatically cued to going to do that thing because you've done it repeatedly for at least a stretch of 90 days. So once you do that, you are in integrity, and there are a couple things that happens there for you. Number one, you develop a certain level of self-confidence to know that you can actually do the things you say you're going to do. Quitting at the start diminishes your self-confidence. It diminishes your word. It causes your word to be less powerful for yourself so that you know you cannot say something and execute on that thing. What you want to do is to work on your psychological well-being and your awareness and the depth of that subconscious to know that when you say you're going to do something, you actually will. So you're actually setting yourself habitually up for that. Now, does that mean that once you get past that 90 days, you won't have the urge or the feeling to not do it a certain day? No, it does not mean that. It means, though, that it gets less intense for you because you've set yourself on that habit of wanting to do this thing, and you have done it. So it's less. Now, there are days when you may not be feeling well, when you may not be feeling up to it, when you may not be healthy enough, which is not feeling well, to fulfill on your session. I'm coming off of one of those weekends. And right now, I can tell you I can still feel a little bit of something over me in terms of my stamina and my ability to push. When I feel that, I listen to my body. I don't go pushing past that certain level. You have to be aware of what your body is doing. You must be aware of what your subconscious is telling you. And if you know in the depths of your soul that your body is waning and you are probably reaching a breaking point, pushing past that point is really absurd. It is not going to be in your best interest. In fact, some people have pushed past that and have literally ended their lives in that process. Okay? So you have to be really mindful, really tune in to what your body is telling you so that you can pay attention. Now, outside of your own body, the feeling, your ability to contain or to maintain the activity, there is that sometimes feeling of, hey, you know what? I just don't feel like it today. When do you give in to that? Well, sometimes you can, but sometimes you should not. And notice I didn't say you can't. I said you should not. And so when do you know when to cue into that feeling? Well, the first thing is in setting up your goal, your strategies, the life path, whatever it is you're creating for yourself, you know where you want to be, you know what you want to look like, you know what you want to achieve. So first you set that in place. What do I want to look like? What do I want to be? And the moment you have set that in place, now is a time for you to start creating those strategies to do that. See, we're talking about your commitment, your integrity, and your feelings. Those feelings will come. They'll come when it says to you, I really don't feel like doing this today. Inside of you, you have a consciousness that helps you to gauge what is actually happening in your life. You don't need another man or woman or anybody else to tell you. That is automatically built inside of you. You know when you are making progress and you know when you're behind. You know when something is right and you know when something is wrong. And in case you can't know that, here's what I recommend that you do. That you write down exactly what it is that you want to be or to do or to achieve. And then you set a timeline on that. So you set a timeline. By this date, this is what I want to achieve. This is who I want to be. This is what I want to have. And now you're going to work that timeline backwards so that you know what increments do you need to make every day or every week to achieve it. Once you make those increments every day and every week to achieve that, now you can look back on that and you can know definitely for sure whether or not you're making progress. And if you're looking back and you're seeing, because as I said, you have this internal guide inside of you. But in case you've tuned out to it and you're not in tune with it, the thing that you really want to do is to write it down so you can see it. And once you've written it down, pay attention. Go back and check it weekly to see how you're doing. Am I making progress in this area the way I need to make progress, or am I falling behind? Now, if you are falling behind, and you're consistently falling behind, that is a cue, my friends, that you're being too lazy too often. as I said, what's going on in here. And that may be telling you this. But then there may be another factor that comes in place. That may be your willpower. That you know you're falling behind, and yet there is something you cannot do. You just can't make yourself get up and do what you need to do. And that's where I recommend for you to reach for your network. Everybody needs a network to succeed. Either if you feel like you're not going to be able to fulfill on a goal, and you can reach out to someone who's going to give you that kick in the butt to get it done, or that word of encouragement to keep going, you need that network. Or whether it's just someone to show you what the next level is if you want to have a breakthrough. But everybody needs a network, and every single person, even somebody who does coaching and mentoring like myself, we all, every single one of us, have a threshold where we meet. And you meet that threshold, and it's going to require something else for you to get to that next level, to bump you to that next level. Some of you have capped out at your maximum level. And so that may keep you in that lazy phase. Why? Because you're not breaking through to your comfort level, to the next level. And you're in that lazy phase, and you're staying there for a lot of your life. But yet you know that there is something more that you're here for, that you have a deeper purpose, and that you have a mission that you need to fulfill, but you just can't seem to A, figure it out, or B, get past that level to go there. That's where you need the network. So now, getting back to this whole thing about your feelings. So when do you really cave in to that feeling? It's okay to cave in, as long as you don't cave in every single day or every single week. Check your progress on that chart, calendar, wherever you've written that, to see how you're doing. And gauge yourself. And I will say this, you never ever want to break past or push through a feeling of illness. If your body is just not up to it, well, forget about the timeline. Guess what? The timeline won't matter if you're not there to experience it. So what is priority is you. So even if it takes a day, a week, 2 months, 2 weeks, whatever it takes, if you need to take that break to rejuvenate, do it. I have taken as much as 1 month to get off and to really reflect, to get my whole system in place, to rejuvenate, refresh, and revive so that I can come back enlightened, refreshed, and more powerful to take on what I need. Does it mean that I was 1 month behind with whatever I'd set up to do? Perhaps, but then again, maybe not. Because after having felt refreshed, I was able to tackle with more vigor what I wanted to tackle than if I had drudgingly moved along at a snail's pace, doing it because out of tiredness for my body after it's screaming at me to break off and to take a break. So that's what I had to say for you today. And so I have created a few tips that I've written down, and I think I've mentioned them before, but what I'm going to go through them numerically, this way that you can have a really great idea of what you need to do so that you can make that breakthrough results this time around. So the first thing I said was for you to decide who you want to be, what you want to achieve, or what you want to have, what you want to do. Decide that. What does it look like? Commit to it. This is how many pounds I want to lose. This is how much money I want to make. This is how far I'm going to be in this book as I'm writing. This is the progress I want to make in my relationship. Whatever it is, decide what you want to be and put a date on it. By this date, this is when I'm going to achieve this goal. Now, work your goals backwards. So now you want to achieve it 90 days out. That 90 days is needing to be broken up in a day-by-day activity. So what are you going to do every single day so that you know you're making progress? And how are you going to measure that progress? How are you going to know if you want to lose 50 pounds over the 90 days? How many pounds do you need to lose every day so you know you're making it there? If you want to make a certain dollar amount in 90 days, how many dollars do you need to make every day so you know you're on track to make that goal? Those are your measuring tools that you're going to use to assess yourself every week. Now, once you've done that, review, as I said, to see your progress. You also have an internal guide, people, so you know whether you're really working it. You could be working it vigorously and giving it your all, and you're not making the progress that you need. At that point, you probably need to check in with your deepest core, find out what it is. Is it something that's missing? Is it something that maybe you could be doing? Do you need some extra support, training, mentor, coaching, whatever it is to get you to the next level? Remember, getting a coach is not a negative. In fact, every single successful person that I know has a coach or a mentor. So you want to get someone who can hold you accountable if you are having trouble holding yourself accountable, and reach out for that support. Then, if you do that, now you can begin to assess your progress. Take that break when your body screams that you're tired. Don't push past it. I tend to use 1 day a week where I kind of slow down. My whole activity on the internet slows down in terms of Facebook and social media, and I really slow down and I do a lot more reflective work than I did in the whole entire week. So maybe you want to do that, where you have a day where you can rejuvenate once per week and get yourself back on track. And if you are actually looking for a mentor or a coach or someone to guide you past those procrastinating systems, those delays, those lack of achievements, the lack of results, then I ask you to, I'm going to leave a link on the page that you will enter your name and information. And when you click over and set an appointment, we can talk about what we can do to get you moving to the next level where you need to go. So that'll be a free discovery session with me, so that you and I can talk about ways to get you achieving what you want. And hey friends, before we go, if you are not clear about your life path, the journey, what you need to be doing in your life, then I also invite you to click over and to take advantage of that link, that free discovery session, where you and I can get on the phone and we can talk about what's missing, what do you need to get to the next level of your achievement, your life, whatever it is you're trying to get to, and that you can have that level of fulfillment in your life, that happiness and deep satisfaction that you so pointedly deserve. And so, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. This is Dr. Gwen. I want to see you and be clear, and I want to see you breaking through all of those hurdles and obstacles that have stopped you up to this point in your life. Thank you very much